This is my review of the Adventure Awaits expansion pack for The Sims 4, and in this video we're going to go over literally everything that's coming in the pack, what's good, what's bad, and also whether or not I think this one is worth buying. I was given early access to this pack by EA so I could make content on it, but I am not being paid. I just got to play the pack early. I've had it for a couple weeks now, I've put many hours into it already, and I am ready to walk you through everything in it. So just to explain how this works, when we get super early access like this, they give us a second version of the game with just the base game and Adventure Awaits. So I have two Sims 4s installed on my computer right now. This version has a couple of quirks. It's technically not final software, so some things could change between now and release. Usually not anything big, it's mostly just like minor bug fixes. There's a slightly annoying watermark with my username floating around the screen. That's on the game. I didn't just add that to the video to like be weird about it. And also the gallery is disabled in this version, so I can't use my library or the gallery at all. And last disclaimer, just for the sake of transparency, I do also have a creator code with EA. So when you use my code at checkout on the EA app, I will earn a 5% commission on the sale of Sims packs. I just want you to know that I truly have no reason to lie to you. I am not making this video to sell you a Sims game. I just want you to have all the tools to know what you're buying and also whether or not it's worth spending your money on. The point of this is for you to know what's coming in the pack, and I always give my honest opinions on it. But with that being said, let's dive into the game. Usually in pack reviews, I'll try to start by summing it up. I'll say something like, at its core, this pack is about fairies, or it's about death, and then I'll break it down into a few subcategories. But this one is kind of hard to sum up that way because it's got a lot going on. I guess they're trying to say that main one-word theme is adventure, but I don't really like that for it. I think labeling it that way implies that the whole thing is about these big adventures that you can go on with your sim, but then that understates all of the cool new, more everyday things the pack comes with. But I think Adventure Awaits breaks down into 4 major themes: improvements to childhood, being outdoorsy, and also getaways and custom venues. And most of the new gameplay slots somewhere into those groups. I want to start by getting into those childhood improvements because I've wanted a pack with more childhood content forever, and this pack really has so much new stuff for kids. When they first announced Adventure Awaits, I was a little bit distressed about the inclusion of imaginary friends. I hated those things in The Sims 3. I think I was just genuinely scared of them as a child, but I would do everything in my power to avoid them back then. They would forcibly give one to you when the baby was born, and then you weren't able to delete it. So I would have to hide the doll from them so they wouldn't play with it and I wouldn't risk the thing turning into a life-size monster. I really thought at this point I was safe from imaginary friends in The Sims 4, so it was a little disappointing to see them as part of this pack, but they are very different in The Sims 4 from in The Sims 3. And I almost can't even believe that I'm admitting this as a certified hater, but they were better in The Sims 3. So in The Sims 4, there are 4 imaginary friend styles that you can choose from, and you can just buy these dolls in build mode for 500 simoleons. There isn't like some kind of special way to access them. Each of the 4 has a different predetermined personality type. So one of them's creative, one of them's competitive, the unicorn one is evil, but you can change that. You can switch them to be any of those 4 traits. You can also rename them to whatever you want. Children can play with that physical doll. They can tell it secrets and just play with it. And after you play with it literally just a couple times, you can turn it into an imaginary friend. It takes less than an hour in game to unlock the option to turn the doll into an imaginary friend. This is just an interaction that you click on, and then the creepy thing jumps out of the doll and becomes a life-size creature. And to make it worse, only the child it belongs to can see it. So if you click on any other sim in your household, the imaginary friend becomes invisible. It is actually kind of funny because the other sims in the household might get weird moodlets about seeing the kid talk to themselves and feeling a little bit creeped out because the kid can interact with it like any other sim. You can talk to them, you can play with them. They're basically just another kid. It's kind of like you've got a friend over. There are a couple special interactions with them. You can do an imaginary boost that gives the child a special moodlet. You can make a friends to the end pact, and you can also say goodbye forever, which sends them away permanently. I didn't expect to get emotional about that when I did it for the first time, but I was actually kind of sad. I was like, wow, my Sim's childhood is over. But when your Sim's child ages up into a teen, they are able to turn the imaginary friend into a real human Sim. There is absolutely nothing special about this interaction, and you don't even need to do any additional work to make it happen. You just need to be friends with the thing as a child, and then once you grow up, you can turn it into a human. There is no teenage-sized version of the imaginary friend, so it's still a child until you turn it human, and then it'll just poof into your household as a regular additional human sim. Each of the 4 characters has a special human teen version, so they will look the same in every single save, and once they're in your household, they are just a normal sim. There's nothing really special about them aside from how they look, and they kind of just look like normal human sims with special outfits. If you're familiar with any of the other costumed characters in the game, the child-sized imaginary friend is kind of like Patchy or Bonehilda, where there's actually just a sim in there, and this is like a costume overlay on top of them. If you go into cast, you can even remove the costume. Genuine jump scare warning, because the sim underneath the costume looks like the costume. So those teenage human versions are completely different. It's like not the same person at all. Also, weirdly, only children can interact with the dolls. Adults and toddlers don't have a single interaction with them. I was really disappointed by that, because in The Sims 3, this started when you were a toddler, and it aged up with you only if you became close enough to it as a toddler. There is absolutely no difficulty, and dare I say, no depth to this feature. I think this is a problem with so many aspects of The Sims 4, where it's too easy and almost kind of soulless. I cannot believe that I didn't have to do anything special to turn my imaginary friend real. In The Sims 3, I had to get a really high logic skill and make a special potion, or get a special quest to find the rarest gem in the game. It was something you really had to work toward, and it felt rewarding at the end when you succeeded. In Adventure Awaits, it's just one click. Like, where is the adventure in that? I do think their appearance is growing on me. I like that they are creepy little guys, and I like that they can be evil. The evil ones can also teach your child how to set fire to things, and then you can light almost anything on fire. I like that, but I just don't really see myself using this all that often. I especially don't want to turn them human. I might have the kids play with them, but I just don't know if I'll ever use it past their teen years. This will be like a special occasion once in a while sort of feature for me. So overall, it's good that they aren't as intrusive as they were in The Sims 3, but I don't think that they are good like they were in The Sims 3. They're kind of just there. I know I am coming on really strong. I promise there are a lot of things that I do like about this pack. I just had to get that out of the way. Something I loved for the kids is the new childhood aspiration. We don't really have very many aspirations for kids in this game. There are the 4 default base game ones and a couple extra minor ones from Growing Together. I think this one is a true to form traditional Sims 4 aspiration. It's much more similar to the regular base game ones, where it takes a long time and requires a lot of effort. This is what I have been wanting. I feel like over the past few years, aspirations just got easier and easier and kind of became like mini pack tutorials. They didn't feel like life goals. They felt like mini quests with boring rewards. This one is a new social aspiration, and it has you doing things like making friends with other kids, playing games like hide and seek, trading for collections, doing archery, getting high social skill. So it is still like a tutorial for the pack, but I am okay with that because there are still enough goals that it feels like something to work toward. At the end, you get the coolest kid reward trait, which makes them have an easier time making friends with other kids, and it also makes them better at winning competitive games. The trait is kind of boring. I mean, when you compare it to the other social aspiration reward trait, that one makes you build all adult social skills faster. So this pack one is not nearly as good, but it is at least interesting. And then one of the other major new things for kids is also sort of aspiration-like. It's even on the aspiration tab. It's called Formative Moments. When they first announced this, I assumed it was going to be some kind of new version of milestones, but I could not have been more wrong. These are actually more similar to that life and death bucket list that adults have. They're a bunch of mini aspiration quests for children that can unlock special reward traits. In the aspiration tab, it might suggest you a challenge based on what you're doing. This sim got suggested an imaginary friend one, and it wants me to become best friends with the creature. If I complete this one, I'll get a reward trait that's related to my imaginary friends trait. So my sim got the competitive imaginary friend reward trait, which makes all of his confident moodlets last longer when he's an adult. And there are loads of these. I think I counted 38 total, but it's possible that I may have missed one or two. And that's 38 different quests with 38 different reward traits. You can have up to 5 different formative moments active at once. And keep in mind, that's like 5 different mini aspirations that you're working on all at once. But I don't think there's a limit to how many you can do total, because once you complete one, you can just take another one. I bet you could do them all until you had all of them if you wanted. I did find myself getting a little bit overwhelmed at first when I was playing this, because it's nonstop suggesting more to do, and there are so many you could never actually complete them all, so there's always more to do. And I felt a little bit scrambled trying to complete everything, but I love a challenge and I love having something to work toward in this game. I'm definitely guilty of my child sim sort of just like being there in the household and not really doing anything. I think this will help guide me with more ideas for activities for them, and I love the storytelling aspect of Sims having hobbies and experiences in childhood that impact them into adulthood. There's an aspiring author one, there's one called Into Archery as a kid, there's one for swimming and one for crafts. I mean, with 38 different options, there's like basically one for everything. Most of those bonus traits you can earn are pretty minor. Maybe they'll help with one skill or just cause one mood to last longer. That's okay, because it makes sense that if your sim had the aspiring author formative moment as a kid, they could grow up, become an author, and then progress that author career just a little bit quicker. And if you don't unlock them as a child, they are still available for adults with reward points. The They're only 100 points each, and you can buy any of them. So you can still get them even if you play with a sim. You can also click on any adult sim and have them recall one formative moment, which is nice because then if you've got any sims that you started playing with as adults, they can still have a formative moment, even if you didn't actually get to play with that for them when they were young. So obviously I started playing with adults in this save, but I could still choose one formative moment for them each and still have that like foundational moment from when they were a kid. They get listed on the Simology tab underneath your traits, but it's a closable tab, so it's not too disruptive. I normally am annoyed by things being added to the Simology tab because it's getting so long now, but these are bonus traits, so it makes sense for them to be in the traits section. I thought that childhood sentiments would be a bigger deal since they were announced in the blog post, but the sentiments in this pack work just like any others. Sentiments themselves are a base game feature, but Adventure Awaits does come with a bunch of new ones. There are quite a few new ones for children related to their friends, their imaginary friends, adults in their life. I thought maybe the sentiments would last longer or like do something, but my Sim's a teen now and all of her childhood sentiments are gone. So I guess they weren't really that meaningful long term. I had kind of hoped that it would like long term alter her relationships with Sims that she knew as a kid, but it didn't really. One of the absolute best parts of this pack though is the new playground stuff. I cannot emphasize how badly I have wanted proper playgrounds in this game for so long. And also slides. I can't believe it's been 11 years and we are just now getting slides in The Sims 4. There are actually 4 slides in this pack. There's a normal, regular, standalone slide. That's kind of more similar to the other playground equipment that we already have, but there is also a water slide that can be placed on pools. These both feel so nostalgic to me. Honestly, this whole pack feels very nostalgic to me. It's like I'm a child playing The Sims 3 on summer break again. I probably like this water slide a little bit more than I should. It's just a water slide, but I don't know. I really like it. And then also probably most importantly, there are 2 new slides for the modular playground sets. There are like 15 pieces to these modular playgrounds. There's ladders, stairs, climbing walls, tunnels, platforms with roofs, bubble windows, puzzle blocks. I mean, these are fully customizable, fully modular playground sets. You can make them as big as you want or as small as you want. And there are also a couple of different pre-built sets if you don't want to do all of that and put all that effort into making your own. I had hoped that we would get some kind of playground set eventually for The Sims 4, but I figured it would just be one big item like the pirate ship or that weird toddler thing from Toddler Stuff. I never in my wildest dreams would have guessed that they would make it a fully modular set like this. I am so glad that we can do it this way. I'm gonna use these all the time. I'm gonna put this in every single park I ever build from now on. And they can be used by any sim. Obviously children can play on them, but adults can use them too, and even toddlers can play up there. Just fair warning, toddlers can't get up the stairs until they have a high enough movement skill to climb stairs, so you might have to have an adult carry them up at first. But you know how you need level 2 to climb regular stairs inside your house? The same applies to the stairs at the playground. Also, toddlers can't climb ladders, obviously, but they can use the slides and the toys up there. And that's not the only fun little game that kids can play. They also added hide and seek and rock, paper, scissors in this pack. And I should clarify, those are also not just for kids, adults can play too. Hide and seek is pretty fun because the Sims literally hide and the seeker has to go and look for them. They'll just poof inside of bushes or like pop inside of a trash can, and wherever they're hiding will sparkle, so it's easy for you as the player to know where your Sim went. And you could just click on their hiding spot so the seeker could find them quicker, but autonomously the seeker will just wander around looking on their own. Rock, paper, scissors is a simpler interaction just between 2 Sims, but you can even set a preference and have your Sim like always do rock. And I'm calling this the childhood section of the video, but not all of this stuff is exclusive for children, of course. Another one of those everybody things is the new competitive trait. This is objectively one of the most interesting and detailed traits they have ever added to the game. In a way, it's almost multiple traits because Sims with this trait have a competitive spirit. It's kind of like a second bonus trait, and that is dynamic, so it'll change throughout their life based on their behavior. So Sims with a bad competitive spirit are really sore losers. They rage about their losses. They're kind of a sore winner as well. They get sweaty when they're competing, like full on sweat dripping down their face. And then Sims with excellent competitive spirit are a little bit more modest about their wins. I guess you're sort of working toward having an excellent competitive spirit, like a challenge almost. And once you get there, you can choose to freeze it and leave it at excellent, or you could just not and leave it on as dynamic. And then they could get worse again if they happen to start raging about a loss. This trait was also really helpful for building competitive skills. I got a sweaty moodlet that helped me build the logic skill really fast when I was playing chess. The video game skill went up super quickly. I even mastered the archery skill, like fully completed it after just doing it twice. So I was a little bit sad to see this pack only had 1 trait, but because this 1 trait is so detailed, there are even more than just those kid formative moment ones. I'll get to that a bit later. In a way, there's like 40 something traits total in this pack. You just just can't select all of them in cast. And while we're on the subject of skills, there are a few new skills in this pack. Again, not only for kids, they're adult skills too, but kids can start working on them if they wanted to. I mentioned archery a second ago, and this is a brand new 5-level skill. You basically just practice archery on one of the new targets. You can compete in archery competitions with just a nearby sim or attend the archery competition event. It'll just give you a score, and the sim with the highest one wins. There are a few special items that you can unlock through this skill, including some new archery gloves in Create a Sim, a decorative bow for the wall, and eventually a new archery target. And once you max the skill, you can shoot an apple off another sim's head. At first, I thought this was glitched because my sims wouldn't do it, but you just need to make sure they have enough space nearby to actually shoot the arrow. So basically, don't try to shoot an arrow inside because they won't do it. Once I tried the interaction outdoors, it worked with no problem. I also had an issue with this skill taking extremely long for children to progress through, but that's one of the things that they fixed before launch. So in my gameplay video, I had to have level 10 motor skill first, and then they could start building the archery skill, kind of like how the skills used to work for children. But when the pack releases, that'll be fixed so they can build both motor and archery simultaneously in the final version. I think my favorite of the new skills is paper crafting. I just like being able to make things in the game, and you can craft so many cute things. Paper airplanes, butterflies, cards, paper mache animals, and most of it you can set on tables as decor or make it into wall decor and hang it up on the wall. You can also give paper craft gifts to people, so you could like make a little Valentine's Day card and give it to a sim on Love Day. And it's a full 10 level skill. I was shocked. I thought it would be like a 5-level mini skill. No, it's a regular actual complete skill. It's very easy to build this skill too. You just place the paper crafting kit on any table or desk. It only costs 20 simoleons. When you actually craft something, it kind of just looks like they're using a weird puff of smoke for a few seconds, and then it adds the finished product into their inventory. I can see myself using a lot of these paper craft things from Debug as decor inside of Sims houses too, because they're really cheap. But imagine I've got a little paper animal on my desk and like a frog and a butterfly on the wall. I just think it's cute. I love this kind of thing. The diving skill is pretty unexpected because we've had diving since Get Together came out years ago, but now they're adding 2 new proper diving boards and also the full skill to go with it. Well, it's not really a full skill, it's a 5-level skill. I think it's the same dives as the Get Together ones too, but now there's just a way for them to actually build skill and progress to getting better at it. It's kind of like how we got that rock climbing wall with the fitness stuff pack that used to only work with the fitness skill, but then we got Snowy Escape and suddenly had a rock climbing skill, so they went back and retroactively made that rock climbing wall function with the rock climbing skill too. I can see how some people might find this annoying because this feature kind of partially existed before, but I don't personally mind them expanding on it. It also helps that it isn't the only skill in this pack. Because there are so many skills, this one's kind of just like a fun little side quest. And I've wanted a regular diving board for so long too, so it's nice to have more of those. But the last new skill is the entomology skill. This is tied to collecting butterflies and raising caterpillars. To build this skill, you can buy a caterpillar incubator, place it in your house, and then just start raising one. At first, you can only raise a random type of butterfly, but once your skill is higher, you can select specific ones to choose from. As a caterpillar, you can feed it and view it, then it becomes a cocoon and you can read to it, and once it becomes a butterfly, you can collect it and it gets added to your inventory. This all ties into that new butterfly collection. So there are 14 different butterflies and moths around Gibby Point for you to find. You might remember how Life and Death's tarot card collection had hints of where to look to find each one. The butterflies are like that, so they'll show up in certain places at certain times, and the hints help you know when and where to look. This butterfly habitat has slots for all the different butterflies in the collection, so once you find them, you can add them here and watch them flutter around. And there are VFX in build mode for every single butterfly, so once you found it, you can place that weird little VFX box on the ground, and in live mode, they'll fly around your lot outside. You can't collect these VFX ones, they're just decorative like the fireflies or the dragonflies in the base game, but I'm gonna use these all the time in my builds. I just built a botanical garden. If I had these butterflies, oh my god, it would have been perfect for that lot. I might have to go back and add them. I've gotten really into collections in this game recently, and this is, in my opinion, the perfect kind of collection. It's difficult, but it's doable. There's not really luck involved, so you're not just sitting there near tiers hoping to fish up the right bike part for hours. I really loved playing this collection, and trust me, I have had some moments where I was like fully crashing out about Sims collections. There was no crash outs, just fun when I played with the butterflies, and I really like how it comes with an item to display display the finished product because I don't want to just have my butterflies sat in those little tiny boxes. I like that I can release them into the big butterfly habitat. To me, this is the model of what all future pack collections should be like. But that all kind of brings me to my next major theme, being outdoorsy. I think that's kind of a weird way of putting it, but I can't think of any better way to describe it. There's just a lot of stuff that you can do outside, and keep in mind there's a lot of overlap here, right? The kid stuff is also outdoorsy. The adults can do loads of the kid stuff. But let's talk about adults for a second, because adults have a new critter hunter aspiration based around that new entomology skill and the butterfly collection. And this one is also a true aspiration, more similar to the base game ones. Recently, we've had so many flop aspirations, but this one is actually 4 levels with real tasks to work toward. When you finish it, you get the critter enthusiast reward trait, which is kind of a nothing trait. There are better reward traits in this pack that you can get just from attending a single getaway. But once you finish the aspiration, you can talk to butterflies and talk to fish and fish bowls, but that's it. You do also get a couple special butterfly themed romantic interactions through this aspiration, but you don't even need to complete the full thing to unlock those. I did have a little hiccup when I was playing this because I could not complete the research mating rituals of butterflies task. I did it by clicking on the park ranger building because I saw the option was there, but the aspiration needed you to do it on the computer. Same interaction. So I guess it was just a mistake on my part and also a mistake on theirs, but I reported it to them and they fixed it already. So now if you do it on the computer or the park ranger thing, it'll work both ways. They were very responsive to me about the minor bugs that I was experiencing, and all those little things have been fixed for the final launch. There are a couple that we'll get into later, but little tiny things like this have been solved already. We haven't talked about this yet, but you can kayak now. Kayaking just builds the regular fitness skill, but you can do it in any open body of water. So that includes all of the open water in Gibby Point, and there is open water in every single neighborhood. But I'm assuming also open water in Sulani and all the other worlds as well. You can even do it in your pool, though I'm not sure I'd recommend that. It's a little bit too small. You can customize the kayaks by picking a few different colors and then also adding stickers to them. Kids and adults can all kayak, and they basically just paddle around in the water. I will admit that sometimes the animations would get a little bit weird. It would freeze occasionally, and I had a sim that was kayaking for like 14 hours straight without me realizing. I was looking for butterflies, so I wasn't really paying attention to the other sims in my household, but she never stopped kayaking. She never went and fixed any of her needs. She just kept going. So that doesn't happen every time, but I guess just be aware of that. It didn't work perfectly for me. If they were to have added kayaking to The Sims 4 in like 2017, 2018, I would have fully lost my mind, because back in the day, people used to call me Kayak a lot. It doesn't really happen as much anymore, but there was an era on YouTube where I would get called every name or word that started with a K except for Kayla. Kelly, Kayak, Kaleidoscope, Kraken, like they would call me anything. It started with Kayak though, because my name Kayla used to autocorrect to Kayak on people's phones when they were typing. So like 7 years ago, we would have really loved this feature. Oh, you wouldn't? Oh, okay. It's not funny. Sorry, cat corrected me. Well, anyway, there is some additional fitness equipment and adventure weights. We have free weights and also spin bikes now. Same thing, these just build the regular fitness skill, but it's an additional option on top of the pre-existing base game stuff. I'm excited to finally have some more variety when I'm building gyms. We've all been using those little decorative weights from Lovestruck for a while, but now we have actual real weights your Sims can lift. The Lovestruck weights will not work though. Those are still just little decorative ones. The free weights from the pack are a much bigger item. They might even be a little bit too big, but The Sims really loves to make stuff that's too big. Like the lollipops from businesses and hobbies that are the size of your entire head. That's kind of how the weights are. But it's okay. I like them. I'm glad to have them. And going back to that topic of water, just for a second, I have 2 more things to mention. We finally got an in-ground hot tub. This works the exact same as the regular hot tub, but this one is just in the ground. It's mostly just a difference in appearance. There aren't really any special interactions. It's still just a hot tub. But this is going to be so helpful for building. It matches way more builds than the regular base game one does. It doesn't have a roof attached to it, so you can fit it in more places. And we've been able to woohoo in hot tubs, but this pack comes with a brand new water woohoo. And it's literally just water woohoo. You can woohoo in the open water out on the lake. You could woohoo in your pool. Anywhere there is water that your Sims can swim in, you can woohoo. Seems a little uncomfortable and gross, I won't lie, but I am excited to have a new woohoo. It is my dream to have a new woohoo and a new death type in every single pack. And unfortunately, this one does not have a new death. I am sad about that, and that makes me sound really bad, but I just like new ways to kill my Sims. Oh, and this is kind of a small feature feature, but you can also pan for crystals. There's a small riverbank in Crystal Valley, and you can click on the water here and have your Sims pan for crystals. This is the only place that you can do it, and you don't need any special tools or anything. You literally just click on the water. I've gotten a lot of not crystals and only a couple of crystals from doing this, but it is actually pretty fun, and I made quite a bit of money from doing it because I kept finding decor objects. You usually find nothing, but it doesn't ever time out or stop you from doing it, so you can just constantly queue up the interaction over and over again until you do find something. And I found that I was getting pretty lucky. Speaking of money, I have a lot to say about the new park worker career. So Adventure Awaits comes with one new job. It is a 10-level rabbit hole career with 2 branches, park ranger and park counselor. We have never had a career like this in The Sims 4. You only work weekends, but you work the entire weekend. Your sim leaves for their shift at 4 p.m. on Friday, and they don't come home until 12 p.m. on Sunday. So they are gone overnight for 2 nights. This is very difficult because they're gone a lot, and they're also kind of struggling while they're away. They do fix their needs a bit while they're gone, and they'll still sleep and stuff at night, but you're gonna feel tired and stinky and stressed pretty much the entire time. And they're extremely underpaid. They make 440 simoleons a shift at first, which works out to about 10 simoleons an hour. When I did this, my Sims household bills were $700 a week, and I was making 440 simoleons at work for the entire week. I didn't make enough money with my job to cover half of the bills. And since you only work 1 shift a week for about 3 days total, and you're also always uncomfortable while you're at work, it makes it really difficult to get promoted. I recorded a video where I was trying to max the career, and I only got to level 3 after 3 real life hours of playing. And that's like 3 hours of playing nonstop. I would go to work and then come home and sleep until my shift started again. My sim aged up all the way to an adult before even becoming level 3. So I think maybe this career is just a little bit too hard. I think it needs some tuning because otherwise it is physically impossible to max this career on normal lifespan. Even if you got promoted every single shift, you would have to work every weekend of your adult life, and you still wouldn't max it until you became an elder on normal lifespan because Sims are adults for about 70 days total. And that doesn't leave any wiggle room for maternity leave, vacation, or like any mistakes. And that is if you get promoted every single shift, and I most certainly did not. Also, one of the times I was away, my sim got robbed and I literally couldn't do anything about it. My sim was gone for the entire weekend. I lived alone and I didn't have a burglar alarm. So Robin showed up. She took my computer, my couch, my butterfly display case, and my toilet. I got home from work, didn't have enough money for bills despite working for 3 days straight, couldn't afford to put anything back, and I had no toilet. Unfortunately, I kind of love that though. That was really funny when it happened. I'm glad that happened to me. I did get robbed a second time with that sim too, but I had a burglar alarm by then. I learned my lesson. So I like this career. I think it's a really cool concept, and I want it to be difficult. I keep asking for The Sims 4 to be more difficult, so I feel weird saying this, but maybe they just need to adjust this one slightly. I fully thought that it must have been a part-time job, like a 3-level career at first, because I was having such a hard time with it, and I was shocked when I realized there were 10 levels total. I just genuinely don't think it's possible to max this career before your sim dies of old age. And I usually play on short lifespan. If I was on short lifespan, I would have been dead already in that video. But I want to switch gears a little bit now to talk about the most major feature of the pack, getaways and custom venues. So getaways and custom venues are different, but I think it can sound a little bit confusing at first because they are very similar. A getaway is like a vacation, and a custom venue is a fully customized community lot type. They're sort of designed to be used together, but you don't have to. They can be used separately. So you could host a getaway at a custom venue, or you could host it at your house, at someone else's house, at a regular community lot. The getaway is like the event that happens, and I think it's helpful to think of it as a vacation with a scheduled itinerary. The custom venue is a brand new lot type that you can build. They are very broad in their requirements, I think because you're supposed to be able to make these into basically whatever you want. So you could make literally anything. You could do something kind of standard like a kids camp. You can make an art studio. You can make a pretend school. These custom venues also have a schedule set up the same way the getaway does, but you could just come here and visit it during the day if you wanted to. You can go to a custom venue without being on a getaway. You could just show up for a couple hours and like use their pool or something. I'm gonna deep dive into custom venues first, then we'll talk about how getaways work. So when it comes to building custom venues, I would say this is maybe more of an advanced builder sort of feature. And I feel kind of silly saying that, but I mean that I think people who are really into The Sims who build a lot and play a lot will be very interested in customizing stuff this much, but I can also see a lot of more casual players being a little bit overwhelmed by the depth of customization that's available to you. I am not sure if this is very beginner friendly, but I also am not sure it's intended to be. When you go to build a custom venue, there are only a couple of lot requirements. You literally just need a sink, a toilet, and a garbage can for it to technically be functional. Everything else is completely up to you. If you wanted it to be like a hotel and have beds for everyone, you can. If you want it to be only rocket ships and pea bushes, I guess you could do that as well. This could be a daytime only thing or a nighttime only thing. It is fully up to you. You can make whatever you want. And there is a very detailed system for telling Sims what to do and when to do it. We've never really been able to customize Sim behavior like this before. These lots come with schedules. So you can add a bunch of customized roles and then tell each role what to do at every single hour of the day. And this could be as simple as just having them paint during the day and then sleep at night. Or you could get really detailed and have the chef cook dinner at 5 and everybody eat at 6. Then the bartender start serving drinks at 7. I haven't done this yet, but I really want to try and run a boarding school. I want to have like skill building in the morning, lunchtime, and then maybe recess in the afternoon. I have a lot of ideas for different kinds of custom venues I want to build. And this is kind of similar to businesses and hobbies with the activity selection and stuff. So if you've played that pack, imagine something like that, but like 10 times more detailed. And if this is scary to you, don't worry. There are a few different presets you can choose from. There's a fitness retreat, an outdoor kids camp, a romantic and cooking competition. There's a bed and breakfast, a creativity retreat, and also a senior living community. Those all have default preset schedules for you, so you could pick one of those instead of having to make your own from scratch. Having tested these defaults a little bit, I think if I were you, I would make a couple of changes. Just for example, the staff isn't even set to repair objects, so I would probably add that in. You also might want to swap out an activity or two to fit your gameplay a little bit better, but the defaults are definitely a good start. And you can also save your own custom presets. So if you've made up a cool new lot type, you can save your preset schedule and then use that again in the future. You have to assign scheduled tasks to every single role, and you can pick as many roles as you want from a long list of presets, or you guessed it, you can make your own custom roles. I think the presets are just there to speed up the process and also to give you some ideas. So there are things like camp counselor, retreat guest, singer, chef, fitness trainer, and those default roles will have default settings for like outfits and required skills and things like that. So you can mix and match these different types of people, or again, you can fully customize it yourself. You can make your own category of role, you can label it, you can make sure they have to have a certain skill or a certain trait. You can assign a uniform to the owner of the retreat. And then again, you'll assign each of those different roles different tasks on the schedule for the whole day. But then you can set it up so the fitness trainer will teach a class and the guests will join the class, or the chef will cook and the guests will eat, or the comedian performs and the guests watch the live entertainment. This feels like a lot to try and explain, so hopefully I'm doing an okay job. Basically, you can just fully and completely customize the schedules of these custom venues to your heart's content. This is a very cool feature and it feels very versatile. You don't have to use this to create some outdoorsy kids camp. You can do it with literally any pack. Think like celebrity retreats, a dog training camp, a vampire beach resort where you have them all woohooing all the time. I loved businesses and hobbies so much for this exact reason, and I think this pack really is a tool. I love that you can use it to combine all your other packs and give new life to them, and I love how creative you can be with it. There are a couple of downsides. I think the first big one is just that it is a little bit intimidating, but it's not hard. You're gonna be able to figure it out, and you can use those presets instead of doing it all yourself. You also cannot use this with other lot types. So just so you know, you can't have like a small business and a custom venue on the same lot. You have to pick one. You can't live on the same lot as a custom venue. These are their own standalone lot type. That's not really a problem, and it is how all of the lots work in this game. Like you couldn't have a gym and a library on the same lot normally, but I guess actually in this case, you could have a gym and a library if you wanted to, because you could just add bookshelves and gym equipment and have them read in the morning and work out in the afternoon or something. But just keep in mind, custom venue is its own standalone lot type. You can make it function as any kind of lot type though if you wanted to. Also, one big issue that I noticed when playing is that the custom venues in the world don't have a default schedule preset assigned to them. I think this is just a mistake, but I went to the Revive and Thrive retreat and nobody showed up. This was just me going and like trying to visit it during the day, not going on a getaway, but it was just me and the diving board. But I went into build mode and realized that it had no schedule, so I fixed it. I added the fitness retreat schedule back on, and then everybody started showing up again. So I think it's possible that might be fixed when the pack comes out, because we did report that to them. And this is just one of those times where this version of the game, being that not final software, really stands out. But as an example, in the last pack, the plants were like completely useless to me and enchanted by nature. In early access, the houseplants were unplayable, but they fixed that before the game came out. So when the pack launched, everybody's houseplants were fine. That could very well happen here. But now let's talk about Getaways. So this is the vacation that you can host. The UI is very similar to the schedule builder for custom venues. But with this, you're gonna start by selecting a location. Then you can choose the duration and when it will end. And you can also decide if it's gonna be a recurring event. So that could be cool to use it to make that fake boarding school, or to make a retirement home, or even like to make a weekend camp for kids so it could happen every single weekend if you wanted. But then you'll set up your custom schedule and all of your roles. This part is the exact same as before, and you can even use the same presets if you want to. The key difference here is that before you made it for the lot, that was tied to the lot. This is tied to the event that's gonna happen at any lot. So you could make a getaway that happens at the custom venue you built, or you could make a retreat that happens at a gym in Willow Creek, or at your house if you wanted to. And the other big difference is that with these getaways you're planning, you can choose custom rules for them. Some of these are skill or mood related, like Renaissance Studio that has you building creative skills faster, or No Strings Attached that lets you romance without people getting jealous. This is maybe not the right thing to say because it's not a lot, but it's kind of like how lot traits work. It's just for an event instead of a lot. It's like a challenge modifier or some kind of additional trait for the vacation specifically. And there are also elimination competition rules. So if you turn on the cooking competition, the sim with the lowest cooking skill at 11 a.m. the next day will be eliminated and sent home from the getaway. There are a few different types of elimination competitions. There's a fitness one, a creative one, there's a child skills one, and there's also one for romance if you wanted to do like a Love Island style thing. And there's a player choice one, so you can pick who gets sent home versus the game just sending the one with the worst skills. I think this is unfortunately one of those Sims features that sounds a lot cooler than it actually is. And it can be fun, you just have to play pretend and use your imagination a little bit. I hosted a cooking competition that I was kind of trying to pretend was the Great British Bake Off, but in the game, 8 Sims just cooked every day, all day, nonstop for a week. The kitchen became a complete mess. They were running out of counter space because there was so much food, and you as the player can't drag food out of the way or like drag it to the sink if you weren't the one who cooked it. The staff couldn't even keep up with it all because there was so much to clean. There was food everywhere. So I sat there and I played a full weekend game where all I did was cook and sleep, and then cook and sleep again. And again, for days. But every day, somebody would get eliminated at 11 a.m., got down to the final 2, and then the getaway ended without announcing a winner. I had made that getaway the max length of 6 days, and I used the default settings of there being 8 contestants, but it does let you extend it an extra day, so I just clicked that because it was just me and one other person left, and I wanted to see who would be the winner. And I did win, but I didn't get anything. I got a little reward trait from attending this getaway, but I got the same reward trait when I went to the kids' camp, so it wasn't really special. It wasn't like a prize for the winner. The trait also makes my cooking skills go up faster, but I just spent 7 days in game cooking nonstop, so I maxed both the cooking and the gourmet cooking skills already. I didn't even get any money or anything. It just felt like a massive waste of my time, and it wasn't even that fun. In hindsight, I would maybe edit the cooking contest default to have a few less competitors and maybe last a little bit less time. So if you're gonna do 6 nights the max, make it be 7 players instead of 8, or you could do it 3 nights and have there be 4 players. And then maybe I would add in some additional activities. I thought about having the Sims like use the computer to pretend that I'm doing research or something. The default also have chefs who cook for you, but like they don't need to. I've got enough food. I think I wanted for this to be a realistic cooking competition where I was like making a dish and then presenting it to the judge. There is a character called the Angry Chef, so I thought that he would be like judging me, but in reality, the whole contest is just about who builds the most skill, and the Angry Chef didn't even speak to me a single time. I wanted to get yelled at, and even that didn't happen. This competition stuff just isn't really a big selling point of the pack to me. It's a neat feature and it's something I might use occasionally. I'm good with playing pretend in The Sims. I do it a lot already as it is, but I just don't think it's that good. It's fine. This whole thing is fine. And the getaways themselves are great. It's just the competition getaways that are not as good as I had hoped. Gibby Point has 3 default getaways you can go to. Revive and Thrive Retreat has you working on your fitness skill for a few days. Your kids can go to a summer camp style thing at Camp Gibby Gibby, and you can participate in a Love Island bachelor style romance competition. The romance competition went exactly as you think it did. Same as the cooking stuff, just with romance instead. Although this was a little bit more fun because you do get to romance everybody. I think it's easier to play pretend in that scenario because you can kind of make up stories about why you're talking to so-and-so and why you don't want to talk to that person. So it's the same repetitive style of play, but it doesn't feel as bad because I'm not just cooking over and over. I can like sit and eat dinner and flirt, and then I can go in the hot tub and flirt, and then I can woohoo, and you know, there's more to do. One problem that I had on these lots is that if something broke or if there was a fire, it was my responsibility to replace it. So that Love Highland romance getaway happens on somebody's home lot. It's not even at a custom venue, it's at somebody else's house. Other people live there. But when the stove burnt down, I had to replace it and it took it out of my household funds. I don't think that should be happening because this is not my house and that is not my job. I think it should just take it out of their household funds or like be a free build situation and it's free to replace. Why is it my responsibility to replace the stove? I can't afford that. I work as a park worker. I have no money. And then the Revive and Thrive retreat is a fitness retreat. So your sim spends their days there swimming and exercising. There are fitness classes that happen for the spin bikes and the employees will cook dinner for you. I guess this one is a little bit more hotel-like because you're spending time almost at like a fitness resort. You can also claim rooms so they'll belong to you, but it's not really a hotel in the sense that you are picturing. It really is more of like an adult summer camp kind of vibe. And the summer camp, Camp Gibby Gibby, is my favorite of the 3 default venues. I call it summer camp, but you don't have to come here in the summer. You can come whenever you want. It's just a 4-day long kids retreat. At this one, there are a couple of adult camp counselors and then 8 child campers. They sleep in bunk beds and cabins. They do archery and kayaking and crafts. I loved this. I think I will use this one the most often out of all of them. It's a nice way to meet other kids, and it's also a great way to build skills for them. And your Sims can skip school and work while at Getaways with no problem. There's no consequence. So if you wanted to and you were playing on long lifespan, maybe you could have your Sims spend the entire summer, the full 7-day summer at the kids camp. And they're actually almost better off doing this than going to school because they build more skills. The Getaways are a little bit overpowered because they very heavily reward you for participating in them. You can get a bunch of different reward traits based on how the getaway went. So for example, I got the Rooted Wanderer bonus trait just for participating. And this one gives me skill boosts in gardening and fishing and outdoor skills. And it also makes my hunger and hygiene motives go down slower when I'm outside. I went to an artistic getaway and got the Artfully Enrich trait. That gives me a skill boost with painting and musical instruments. And it also makes your hunger and bladder needs go down slower when you're working on art. There are 7 of these different reward traits total, kind of for each category of getaway. There's ones for kid activities, social stuff, mischief, food and drink, and even one just for hobbies. You'll get a different one depending on what sort of getaway you went to and what you did while you were there. And you can win prizes for hosting a getaway. I had my Weenie Sim host a painting getaway on his lot because I was trying to have everybody make me paintings that I could then sell so I could get rich with their hard work. But when it was over, I was given 10,000 simoleons as a reward for hosting a successful getaway. Stanley Humphrey's shady painting getaway got a better reward than my sim who won the whole cooking contest. But the difference, I guess, is that Stanley hosted that one at his house versus she just went to one on a custom venue. But you know what? All of these rewards feel like a breath of fresh air compared to Enchanted by Nature because I felt like my sims were being punished for using the new stuff in that pack. There was no positive balance, only negative. I was constantly getting ailments I had to fix just for being outside playing with the new pack features. But it's kind of the opposite here. I'm being really heavily incentivized in-game to use this because I can gain powerful rewards for my sim. And I should clarify, I am good with things going bad. I actually like for my sims to suffer, but I don't think it's a good thing when stuff can only go bad. And that's sort of how Enchanted by Nature was. I really enjoy how these getaways work. This is by far the coolest and most replayable feature of the pack. I really can see myself using this all the time. And I have a million different ideas for different getaways I want to try and do. I'm gonna do spa retreats. I'm really intrigued by that retirement home concept. Maybe like a video game event. You could kind of host a con almost if you wanted to. I keep saying boarding school, but like what about maybe a daycare of some sort? I know I keep making all these pack comparisons, but I said a lot of these same things about businesses and hobbies, and that has now become one of my favorite packs, if not my favorite pack of all time. I love that it makes all of your old packs feel new. It just gives you a new way to use all of this stuff. It gets me thinking creatively about how I can combine stuff and I can build whatever I want. And the schedule actually does a really good job of making sure your Sims do what they're supposed to do. So if you want, they will paint together, eat together, and then go to sleep. It is amazing to watch the Sims actually behave because I kind of thought they would just stand around. If I'm being honest, I didn't really have high expectations for this, but in my experience, it went really well. Now, we've talked so much about Gibby Point, but I haven't actually shown you the world map a single time. This is the new world. There are 3 neighborhoods with 13 lots total, and they've said that it's slightly New Zealand inspired, and it also draws some inspiration from national parks in the US. So it isn't just one thing, and they didn't like try to recreate New Zealand with this. You may just notice some of those influences in the style and in the landscape. Jellyfish Junction is an artsy neighborhood on on the coast. There's a lighthouse that you can get some lore from by clicking on it. There's a shop called This or That sells outdoorsy equipment like kayaks. There's a fitness fest that takes place on the boardwalk every day where Sims show up and use the spin bikes. They say that on Wednesdays they're supposed to show up in costume to work out, but I have never seen anyone here actually in costume. They just show up in their regular clothes. So that's bugged, but it's not like it's a huge bug. It's just kind of weird. We did report that to them as well, so it might be fixed when the pack comes out. I don't know. And there are occasional archery competitions going on, and you can win some pretty good money. I didn't, but you're supposed to be able to. First place is meant to get 2,500 simoleons, but I kept only being given 500 even when I won. So I don't know what's up with that, but these are all things that we did report as early access bugs. And lastly, the Glow and Flow Festival happens in this neighborhood. The water is bioluminescent, so it glows at nighttime. You can come here and kayak, you can swim in the water and get special moodlets, and you can also eat jellyfish, which is a local delicacy. You'll notice that the people in this town really, really love jellyfish. There's jellyfish hats, there's jellyfish food, there's Jellyfish Junction, but this next neighborhood is called Wanderwood Wilds. This is a more foresty area by the geyser. I would say that this section is very much a national park sort of vibe. Hothead Rock Geyser is the big thing, and you can watch this erupt every few hours. This is one of the coolest things I have ever seen in the environment of a Sims world. There are also a bunch of benches around it, and you already know everybody's gonna be sat there cloud gazing if you have Love Struck. Those couples are gonna love this. There is also a ranger station here where you can buy some supplies, and there's a fire watch tower that you can interact with and like send gifts and letters up to the person keeping watch. This neighborhood has a brand new playground lot type, but the other two neighborhoods also have playgrounds just out in the environment, and all three neighborhoods have open water, so you can kayak and swim everywhere. The Round the Fire Festival takes place in Wanderwood Wilds on the weekends, and all the Sims just gather around a big fire pit together. These festivals are all a really good place to find the special townies, but I'm gonna get into that in just a minute. First, I want to talk about that last neighborhood, Crystal Valley. The story here is that there used to be an old gold mine that has since dried up, and that's why you can pan for crystals in this area. There's a lounge and a couple of homes in the town center, and the sunrise and sunset festivals happen here in this neighborhood. It also has this hidden body of water called Electric Lagoon, and it glows at night. You touch the glowworms and all of a sudden the whole place lights up. It is absolutely incredible here. It really is so beautiful in this entire world, but I think this area especially is really cool. You can also catch that new jellyfish here in this area, and it's one of the spots to find a special rare butterfly. As far as collectibles go, there are just the 14 butterflies and moths and then one fish in this pack. And Gibby Point has a few special townies that help push the story and the lore along. Probably the most important is the peculiar plum bird named Pruella Preener. You can find her giant nest in the woods in Crystal Valley, and she'll give you a few special quests to unlock her story. The quests are all very Sims 4. Like, look at this thing, then talk to this person, then talk to this person again, and then look at something else before talking to that same person a third time. It can be a little bit repetitive, so I enjoyed playing through them for the sake of the storyline, but I did find myself getting frustrated because there's just only so many times that I can bring myself to care about asking the lost adventurer about the plum bird. Once or maybe twice is fine, but genuinely it's like 7 times that you have to just keep asking the same question to the same 3 Sims. And this is a spoiler, I guess, but once you finish all of the quests, the big finale is that you can hug the plum bird. You get to hug the bird. That's it. Oh, but also if you have a baby with the plum bird, I heard the baby is born with a special trait. Kind of like Daddy Winter's babies have that Father Winter's baby trait. Although I'm not sure if they get any special powers. I'm guessing probably no. I think it might just be a funny label. And the plum bird is very beautiful underneath her costume. She is not like the imaginary friends. Toshi, the storyteller, will also give you some adventure quests. And these are kind of neat because as you play through them, you learn about this little group of kids called the Great Adventurers. And there's an adventure story map in town that actually fills up as you progress through the quests. Unfortunately, Toshi's quests are very similar to the plum birds, so they are also very repetitive. It'll have you talking to Toshi, Nigel, the camp counselor from the trailer, and also their friend Raheel, the lost adventurer. A lot of this quest stuff, honestly, is just like walking you through different neighborhoods in the world and like showing you a couple of the new features, but you do get some lore while you talk to them. They'll give you like pop-ups that explain some details about the town. There's also a butterfly conservationist called Laxmi that is Rahil's sibling, and you can get one guided quest about raising butterflies from them. And Buddy Scoop is the collector kid who hangs out by the mines in Crystal Valley. He's there every day from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. So I don't know when this kid goes to school, but you can trade collectibles with him, and you can also play rock, paper, scissors against him to try and win a collectible. I love this, and I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun using this in my collection save because I'm currently trying to complete every collection in the game, and it seems like he might help get you access to collectibles that you're missing. You just have to get lucky enough to beat him at rock, paper, scissors. And that collectible trading thing is also new. You can trade with the collector kid, but you can also trade with pretty much any sim now. Aside from those special townies, there are also 3 townie households in this world. Up here is the Chavez-Ralston family. You probably recognize Nigel from the trailer, but Nigel is living out his childhood dream as camp director at Camp Gibby, while his wife Sarah is channeling her love of creativity and chaos as a camp counselor. Their twin daughters, Eris and Erin, often seem like polar opposites as well. So Erin is competitive and Eris is creative. Up here we have the Adam commune, and these sims host that Love Highland getaway. Jane and Star Adam are known for their Love Highland getaway and for their prickly personalities. They're joined by 2 roommates, Skip and Agora. Between the 4 of them, it's a wonder they need to look outside the 4 walls of their home for any extra drama in their lives. And you might recognize Skip Broke because he is a returning townie from some of the older Sims games. And then lastly, over here is the Perry household. Frida Perry never expected to be juggling her Revive and Thrive fitness retreat along with her shy, thoughtful grandson Dougie. But here we are anyway. Frida spends her days spinning and encouraging others to reach for new gains while nudging Dougie to get outside and explore the world and perhaps unleash his own wild child. So those 3 households are all kind of tied to the 3 getaways in town. And The Sims made a whole blog post going in depth about the families and the Sims that live here, so I'm gonna link that down below in case you want to go back and watch it. And I'm also gonna link a bunch of Sims creators down below because all of the lots in this world were built by Simmers. Axie Sims, Danielle Builds, Griffey, JJ Bink, and Kiwi Sims Kate made the builds for this pack. I'm sure that they have made content about the process of making these lots, and that is always really cool to see. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but my favorite is Camp Gibby. There are 2 lots in this world that are partially on the water, kind of like in Sulani. This is one of them, but you can see that it's sort of a different vibe than the Sulani beaches. It's kind of more like a lake vibe, I think. And I am just obsessed with this lot. I think this is the coolest thing ever. So I think that you are also going to be very impressed by the lots in this world. We spent so much time in Cass in my last pack review because of fairies, but this time I have much less to show you and much less to say. And I hate to say it, but overall, I just don't love the Create a Sim options in this pack. It's not like it's bad, I just don't think it's revolutionary. It's all very outdoorsy and fitness focused, and I think we've all seen that before. Well, we haven't seen this before. There's life jackets. But I guess I just mean that I already have spa day and outdoor retreat and fitness stuff and even kind of Discover University. So I've already got a lot of stuff with a similar vibe. I only need so many pairs of leggings, and I don't even like these leggings very much. But just because I don't love the cast doesn't mean that you won't. It's all so subjective. I am obsessed with all of the hairs though. I think they've done a really good job with these, and I am going to use them all the time. Maybe not this one, but the other ones I think I will. And like the last pack, there are a couple of tagging choices that I don't personally really agree with. And this isn't a bug, it isn't really necessarily even an issue. It's just that they made a choice that I wouldn't have. But for example, these shorts fit feminine frame Sims perfectly, but they are only tagged for masculine. Why can't this stuff be tagged for everyone? When you go to make a Sim, you might even forget that some of these things exist because you might forget to turn off the other tag. And look, there's a super nice coat, there's an extra denim jacket. Feminine frame Sims didn't get the camp t-shirt. That does not make any sense to me at all. Back in the day, I think it made a little bit more sense for things to be tagged separately because it just fit everybody so weird. Like if you compare the fit of this shirt, this is a masculine tagged shirt, to one of the base game masculine tagged shirts, these look terrible on them. But now, since they make the clothes better to fit everyone better, I don't really understand why they don't just tag stuff for everybody. I think they just do it so it looks like masculine frame Sims have a more comparable number of clothes because they get criticized for not making enough stuff for masculine Sims. But when it works for everyone, it works for everyone. You needing to make nicer clothing for masculine Sims isn't this pair of shorts fault, but I won't sit here and go through every adult piece of clothing. I don't want to spend too much time in CAS. I'm mostly just going to go over some highlights in this portion, but I will show a sped up version of everything in CAS and build at the end of the video when I'm just yapping. Thankfully, the little ones did get a bunch of really nice stuff in this pack. They've got all of the same hairs as the adult Sims, plus one extra. I don't think they've made a child exclusive hair in a very long time. We mostly just get conversions from the adult hairs, but this is just so cute. So I am so glad they did this. And the kids actually have a lot of similar clothing to the adults, even like the same long sleeve shirt and the same camp t-shirt. They've got another life jacket, but I kind of like that we have some matching t-shirts for them, even a matching skirt. I love these little overalls with the star cardigan. I unfortunately would wear this in real life. This is just so cute to me. Toddlers got a couple of the same hairstyles, but not quite as many. They also have a little animal onesie. They love to give toddlers an animal onesie in new Sims packs, and they got quite a few new t-shirts. My favorite one is this tie-dye t-shirt. I am kind of obsessed with this tie-dye t-shirt, and I'm sad that only toddlers have access to it. I feel like they should have made it for everybody. Tie-dye t-shirt makes so much sense for the summer camp pack, and it's so cute. Infants barely got anything. No new hairs, no new tops, but they did get one new full body outfit. It's just a little pair of overalls. But I think that pretty briefly covers all the new Create a Sim stuff here in Adventure Awaits. But I want to talk more about building now, because building is my favorite thing to do in this game, and I am always really excited about new packs, specifically because of the build content. Expansion packs usually come with a brand new build feature they add to the base game and then expand upon in the paid content. In this case, everyone gets access to the new playground lot type, and this works very similar to regular parks, but it's just geared a little bit more towards children. If you buy the pack, you get the modular playgrounds. We touched a little bit on it earlier, but I can't just talk about build mode and not bring it up again. The default playground in the world also uses the new swing set that matches those. They've got some archery stuff. There's even a pool with a diving board and a water slide at this playground. They have a regular slide and some monkey bars, and you can see all the colors match miraculously. And I just love this. I love this feature. I don't love everything about build mode though, unfortunately. I was very disappointed that there wasn't a new kitchen set in this pack. Everything in it is so cabiny, and I just don't think the base game counters really work all that well when you pair them together. In a perfect world, we get a new kitchen set in every single pack, but I know that is just not feasible. I do love all of the new wall decor they added, especially these two gallery walls. This one kind of has a summer camp vibe with the pennants and the little pictures, and then this one has some landscapes of Gibby Point. There's a fish and kayak version, and also this one that has dogs and butterflies on it. I also kind of like how the photos are a little bit wonky, and it's only 200 simoleons, so it's pretty cheap compared to other in-game artwork. This thing has been carrying my builds. This one is kind of like a fancy set of some new fitness signs, so you can use them in gyms. We've got an amazing new round mirror, and then we have a couple of new curtains. They gave me 3 sizes of this curtain, but for some reason I did not get given a curtain rod. I don't really understand why. We've got a couple curtain sets like this now where we have big panels and then a rod you can use to match them together in the middle. And what sucks is it's just a little wooden beam. If you had given me a little wooden beam, that would have been so versatile and useful. But now if I put these curtains over windows, they're like stuck on the edges, nothing in the middle. I just find that kind of annoying. And then this is like a little canvas window cover. I love this thing. There's a lot of stuff where you can kind of make an all canvas, almost like tent like build. You'll see some wallpapers and stuff later on too. There is only one houseplant. Truly devastating. I don't know why. It is a really nice looking houseplant, don't get me wrong, but there's only one of them. If I could get my way, every pack would have like 5 plants. But you know what? There are 5 new beds in this pack. There's 2 different sets. We have a single and a double bed from each, plus a bunk bed for one of them. They're all really bad. This bed is only 265 simoleons. It's energy 3, so it's like not good for your Sims. The other single bed is 500 simoleons, also energy 3. And then get this, the double bed version is cheaper. The double bed version is 320. That does not make any sense. I think it probably should have been swapped because that's actually a really high stat double bed for it being that cheap. Stress relief 2 for 300 bucks. And then the bunk bed version is also 320, so I feel like maybe they should have all been 320. Here are a couple of the swatches on this like log cabin style bed. It's got some really cute and colorful plaids, and they even come in pastels, which I like. And then this metal bed frame has some very similar swatches, but it has different colored metal on the outside. I sort of like how colorful the metal is too. These are really good for that sort of summer camp energy, and it's just always nice to have more beds. The bed is like the focal point of a bedroom, so the bed options you have kind of determine what sort of bedrooms you can decorate. I think I'll use these a lot with Outdoor Retreat and also with Horse Ranch as well, because they match those vibes too. I hate the new bathroom stuff. There's a sink and a shower, but they don't match each other. They have completely different swatches, and surely these two things were intended to be used together, right? But say you want to have like a nice wooden sink. I want the shower to come in a matching wood color. Well, it doesn't. This is the closest color option you're gonna get. And then it has gold metal on the inside. This one has silver. I think that this is supposed to be an outdoor shower, so I'm pretty sure your Sims can use this without feeling embarrassed in front of other people. But but also I want to be able to use it inside and have it like go in my Sims bathrooms, and I just don't like how they don't match. I understand that not everything has to be matchy-matchy all the time, but if you're gonna give me a set, I want it to feel like a set, and this is like two completely different styles of objects. We did also get this. This is way less important, but there is an outdoor toilet as well. Can we just have a moment for these fireplaces? I am so happy with how these look. Like this little wood stove that has a piece of stone underneath it. Amazing, incredible. There's a really beautiful stone fireplace, and we've got a matching wallpaper to this stone. And then this one is a little bit more modern. It's kind of like a rustic modern though. This is pretty neat. Like imagine using this with the industrial loft kit in a fancy apartment, because it has the stone and the wood. I think that could work really well together. And here are some examples of some of the other cluttery decor bits that they've added in this pack. A couple of the highlights for me are this little wall shelf with the board games inside. I'm also obsessed with this shelf for the wall. This is like a trunk with some books and a lantern on top. I really like how this thing looks. Mudroom style wall. Look at this lamp with the oars to hold it up. There are only 2 rugs in this pack. This first one has some really interesting swatches on it. One of them is a fish, and then we have this little one as well. I do kind of wish we had gotten at least one more rug, but there are some really cool color variants, like this one with the kayaks. We have some different bow and arrow kind of decor, like this arrow clock and this actual bow on the wall. There's pots and pans for the wall, but no kitchen set. And then we also have this appliance cart. I've used the blender on top of it over here. This is a new item. You can make smoothies in there, but you can put any appliance on the appliance cart. Normally these things can only be placed on counter objects, but this is like a counter height item. I'm assuming they made this so they could have you have smoothies out and about in the environment more easily, but I am very glad they did it. And I've been wanting a blender for years. I made an entire video once where I went through a PowerPoint I made about why they should add blenders to The Sims 4, and they finally added blenders to The Sims 4. There are a bunch of different smoothies that you can make in it, and you'll get different moodlets depending on what kind of smoothie you've made. But that kind of covers buy mode with furniture and stuff. Now I want to talk about build mode. So I mean things like fences, columns, spandrels, all of that. There are 2 new fences in this game, each with matching fence gates. We also got 2 new columns, one that's kind of just a wood texture, and this one that has some wood and some metal. There's a new spandrel that looks like this. There are 2 new types of stairs and also 2 matching stair railings. We have 2 new roof textures. This is a new roof trim right here. It's kind of like a canvas, this roof texture, and a canvas roof trim to match it. This one is more of a metal roof texture, and there was a lot of discussion about this because of the trailer. If you look closely, the underside of this roof is painted. That is not a new feature. That is just this roof texture. Both of them look like that, where the underside is visible. Normally with a roof in the Sims 4, it's just like a solid plain gray color. And that's true for pretty much every other roof texture in the game, except for the thatched roofs. This base game thatched one and also the ones from Island Living look like this, where like the underside is also painted. The same goes for these 2. I really prefer that though, because if you're looking at the house from like a low angle, and this is a bad example because they're just triangles, but it's nice to have that with the roof texture instead of it just being like a gray. It's just a nicer little detail. There is also a dormer that matches the roof texture. We have 2 new chimneys and a little flag. This is like a camp flag. So a couple of these swatches match that camp t-shirt you can access in CAS. The wallpapers are all very cabiny. We have a stone that matches the fireplace. I love this stone. I'm gonna use this all the time. We also have a canvas wall to match the roof. And then we have 4 different wood panel textures. This is where they kind of start to lose me. These are very different from the wood panels that we have in other packs, and I like to have more wood panels, but also we have wood panels already in other packs. So I think if I were to choose, I would have preferred they had made a completely different build style that was not cabiny like this. I understand why they did. It's got a summer camp in it. It makes sense. But I just would have preferred to have an entirely new build style versus a thing that I kind of feel like we can already do. And then lastly, we also have this wallpaper. It is a wallpaper, and it's got a couple different swatch variants that are all super outdoorsy. There's a tent, there's like a Yeti. This one has a fire. I was so excited when I saw we had 3 new foundations. The foundations are a major pain point for me in The Sims 4. I just want more foundations so badly in this game, for the base game especially, but we have 1 stone one, there's 1 stilt one that matches the columns, and also this kind of interesting wood slat version. This is life-changing. I'm so glad they did this. We only got 2 floorings, one is stone and one is a nice simple wood. It kind of is like a wood deck texture though, and we don't have anything like that either. This is gonna be great for the outdoors, I think. Maybe not as good for indoor wood floor though. There are 13 new windows and 10 new doors in Adventure Awaits. These are all split across a few different build styles as per usual. There's kind of like 2 main ones and then a couple little bonus options. This is that first new style. These are pretty interesting because they have a screen texture at the bottom. And I live in Florida, so all of our windows are like this. It isn't only screen, it is properly closed, and you can open the glass, but the screen stays there, so it helps keep bugs out. They even have this version. This is kind of like an exclusively screened in window. This could be nice for a porch. And then there's also one that has shutters. For some reason, this is kind of a weird lighting texture, like this line across the top of them. I don't really know what's causing that. It happens no matter where on the wall I am. It's in the glass. Then we have this slightly more modern window set. These come with wood colors and black accents, and also wood colors with white accents. Luckily, they do have a solid white and a solid black. I like that it has a triangle window, though I don't really know how or where I'm going to use this. I think what I would have preferred is if they had given me the triangle part separate and then this size window separate so I can make my own. It's very hard for me to use the windows that are like this because you kind of have to have the roof be a certain pitch and it has to be a certain size, and so it's just, I don't know. I don't end up getting a lot of use out of triangle windows because I don't have as much variety as I would like. Then we have these. These are kind of like canvas windows with plastic across them. This will be good to go with the canvas wallpaper and the canvas roof to make a fake tent. And then lastly, we have these windows that have no other matching variants, and they don't match the big ones either. They come in completely different colors for some reason. I don't understand why they did this. Why couldn't you have had these windows be a part of this set? Couldn't they have just been the same swatches? Why is it completely separate? When and where am I going to use these? You're breaking my heart, Sims team. I don't get it. You're allowed to have one weird set of windows that don't match because these serve a very specific purpose. What are these? With windows, I want to be able to mix and match across a bunch of different sizes around a whole build. So it's nice that I have these 3 and kind of this one big one, but if I had a couple more, that would make for like the perfect window set. It's more similar to the cats and dogs and seasons packs where it was one window set with a million options. I don't like the split up window set business. I want to have the same set that I can use everywhere. I'm really sick of having partially unfinished build sets. Here are all of the doors. They fit into those same sets. We've got a nice tall screen door. There's a solid door. There's a door with windows. There's a double door with windows. Then we have a more modern one that's a single door, a tall modern door, tall modern double door. This one's kind of like a slider, isn't it? Yep, glorious glass sliding door. Then we have a couple canvas options. We have this canvas door and then a canvas archway. And then we have one door to match those 2 lone windows. It's cute. I like the blue. It's very blue suburban coated. But wouldn't it be even cuter if you were the same as that? Because you're kind of the same. You have a couple of the same swatches, but you don't have all of the same swatches for who knows what reason. Why didn't they just make them match? I won't spend too much time talking about Debug either. This is the secret stuff that you can cheat to access. With this, you can see all of the items they used out in the environment. There's not really much that feels super new here. It's got like your standard bits of landscaping. We've already seen all of these before. There are some kind of fun environment details, like this giant kiwi statue. There's a phone booth. This statue of a man with a sheep is in the town. And there's a crashed plane. I like this planter box. That could be a fun thing to use on community lots. I also loved this little log with some flowers. The giant lighthouse is in Debug, so you could place this down on your lot. And I think there are a few pretty nice Debug fences, like this one. I think that this log fence might be new. There's also a little rope fence and a matching end piece. There's a very tall, kind of worn down slat fence also. And you can access the paper crafts in Debug, so you could just grab these little cards if you wanted to. I did notice that some of the paper craft is in the base game Debug, but not all of it. So even if you don't have the pack, you'll be able to access things like the origami frog and some of the paper mache animals. I think that was an accident, but you can't craft them with the base game. You need the pack to craft them, but you can use them to decorate if you wanted. I think my favorite Debug thing from this pack are these potted plants though. I don't really understand why these are in Debug and not in regular build mode. You could have given me at least one of them, especially because we only have one plant in regular build mode. What is with packs recently and not giving me any plants? Oh my god, I just broke my necklace trying to fix it. I noticed it had moved, so I tried to rotate it and now it's broken. Well, that's great. This is new too. I've only only worn it once before this. Okay, well, I'm gonna try and fix that later. I think that just about covers everything coming in Adventure Awaits though. And now that I've shown you everything, I want to talk a little bit more about my final thoughts on the pack, and I'll just play some footage sped up of all the cast and build stuff while I do it. Starting with the highlights, I love how replayable this pack is. That's something I'm always looking for in what constitutes a good pack to me. When I think about things like Strangerville, because that is a very specific storyline, it's only new to you one time. So yeah, you can replay it anytime you want, but it won't feel as fresh or as exciting. It might not fit into your regular gameplay on an everyday basis, but with Adventure Awaits, there are a million different combinations of getaways and custom venues you can create, and I have so many ideas that I haven't even gotten to yet. I don't know if I'll ever be done playing with Adventure Awaits, and that makes it feel so much more valuable than a lot of the other expansion packs. I said something very similar about Businesses and Hobbies and For Rent, and those are some of my favorite packs of all time. I don't know if this makes sense, but right now I feel like I'm done playing with Enchanted by Nature. I played it loads when it first came out, but I don't really have any desire to play with fairies again right now. Granted, I do currently have a fairy in my Legacy Challenge save, but at this point, fairies have kind of been pushed back to being an occasional thing for me, and I'm not ever gonna have a fairy again in like 99% of my saves. But I really do think the opposite is gonna happen with Adventure Awaits. Bare minimum, I am going to use getaways as honeymoons, and I am going to go on kids camps in pretty much every single save. I think it's gonna integrate really well into my normal gameplay. Even without trying to make some kind of special fancy getaway, I'm still gonna use these getaways on a regular basis. I'll probably even use those contests I didn't like occasionally. Of course, I won't use every single feature from a new pack all the time, but I know this pack has a lot of things that I will use frequently. I love how much stuff they've added for children, especially the playgrounds and the new skills, but just in general, this pack feels very much about childhood. In the blog post when they first announced it, they wrote, "Embrace the spirit of childhood and carry it in a bold, adventurous life." And I just thought that was such a great way of describing what this pack is. It's about children, but it's also about carrying that spirit of childhood with you into adulthood, because at the same time, it isn't about children at all. There's literally a Love Island style default lot. This pack is for all ages. It just happens to come with more childhood stuff than a usual pack would. I just feel like it has a lot to do. Like when I played it for the first time, there kept being more things that I hadn't done or seen yet. When I post my playthrough video tomorrow, you'll see that I barely even used the getaways and custom venues in the original playthrough. Most of that playthrough was just about all the other stuff in the pack, and I've got separate videos coming for the getaways. And that's awesome, because if the pack was only getaways, I think I would have understood that. But it's not. It's like you can live in Gibby Point and do all this outdoorsy stuff and have a nice childhood, and you could also go to getaways. And there is overlap, but you can use those things completely separately if you wanted to. I think we've also finally gone back to true aspirations with this. I hated the aspirations in Enchanted by Nature. I complained so much about those in that review. They were barely even aspirations, but the two aspirations in this pack feel like real aspirations, real things that take actual time to work towards completing. And the world is incredible. Gibby Point is so beautiful, and there's so much to do in the environment. Even outside of the lots, there's a lot going on and a lot to do and see. I know I keep comparing this to other packs, but I think that's helpful when reviewing to like discuss what it's like versus the other Sims packs. I think one of the worst worlds they've done in a long time was San Sequoia, and I hate saying that because I built lots for that pack. I was involved. I built 3 of those buildings. It's not the lot's fault. It's the world environment of San Sequoia. It's very large and very spread out, and there's not a lot going on in those neighborhoods. In Gibby Point, people are kayaking all the time. There's open water in all 3 neighborhoods. There's playgrounds everywhere. There's fire pits out and about. There's grills with picnic tables nearby, and they've got paper crafting set up out and about. They've got those festivals happening all the time, so Sims are gathering and they're actually doing stuff with you in the world. Those special townies are always out and about roaming around, but it just feels very lively in Gibby Point. I really think this might be one of the best worlds they've ever done. There just isn't really anything like it in any of the other Sims packs, and it makes sense because they've got this culmination of all the tech they've made before that they can now use for this, but they did a really good job with the world. I don't know what the weather is like. I haven't played with seasons yet. I really hope we don't have another snowgate, because there was big drama when Ravenwood didn't have any snow, but we're gonna find out together when the pack officially comes out in a few days. Unfortunately, I just can't talk about cross-pack compatibility at all in this video because I didn't get the opportunity to play with it. I know that some people have figured out how to install their packs into the CFE version of the game, and the Sims team did say this time for the first time that it wasn't against the rules to do that, but they were like, I'm not gonna tell you how, and enter at your own risk. So because they were kind of weird about it, I was like, I'm not gonna touch that. I'll play with just the pack for now and we'll review it that way. But I think there probably is some content out there on YouTube with other packs if you want to look for it. And as far as disappointments with Adventure Await goes, I simply cannot leave here without bringing up imaginary friends again. I know I have that strong pre-existing bias against them, but I just don't think they're that good in The Sims 4. They're soulless and there's no challenge to them. They're kind of just there. I was actually telling my dad about them when they first got announced, and I was showing him pictures because I was laughing about how horrified I was by them. And bear in mind, he doesn't know anything about this. So I'm trying to explain this concept of this creepy doll that only your Sims child can see and talk to. And then I showed him the screenshots from the trailer and he was like, oh my God, I don't know if they can release that. Seriously, like, that's creepy. I'm not sure they should put that in the game. And he was dead serious. He was telling me this like as if I needed to warn EA to pull the feature and not release it. And I wouldn't go that far. I actually kind of like how they're creepy looking, but I just thought it was funny that he had such a strong reaction to them. And it was a well-intentioned strong reaction. Like, he was trying to help by saying they shouldn't make them. I also think the kayaking kind of flops a little bit, but I'm not sure if that's surprising to anyone. It's kind of like bikes, and the bikes have never worked quite right. So like, yeah, they can ride the bikes around, but they just get kind of weird. They like glitch into walls and stuff. Kayaks are like bikes, but on the water. It's not bad. It's just a little bit finicky. Although I don't think you'll ever have an issue with glitching into a wall on the kayak because there are no walls in the open water. And I also found myself getting very frustrated at the repetitive nature of those quests. But that's not really an issue with this pack. That's more of an issue with The Sims as a whole. The entire Star Wars pack is literally just that. Talk to so-and-so, look at this, and then talk to them again. And then you just rinse and repeat. So I'm not really sure how they could do that better. I think maybe if it was less about speaking and more about actually doing things, if I had to go fishing or like find a certain collectible, if it could just be a little bit more difficult and more meaningful instead of just like the empty conversations over and over. And I wasn't sure if I should even say this in this video because I don't really want to draw attention to this word if not necessary. Originally, the paper mache animals were labeled with an offensive term. I know that some people use this word to mean foolish or silly, but it actually originates as a derogatory term for people with intellectual disabilities. So I reported that to them and they responded literally immediately and said they were going to change it. So those animals are called funky now instead, which is objectively better. Funky frog is way better and it probably shouldn't have ever happened, but I understand that not everybody knows that word has ableist origins. It's really commonly used still. We're all learning new things every day and they were very quickly responsive to that feedback. So it will not be there in the full release. If I didn't mention it in this video, almost nobody would know that it even happened unless you had seen it in early access. And I guess also this is just a good reminder to remove that word from your vocabulary. I don't think most people have bad intentions when saying that. You just might not have known. And now we know that it's harmful, so we can stop saying it. Anyway, as far as bugs go, I did encounter a few small things when I was playing, but again, they were so responsive in the Discord server, and they usually are. Like, I have found some really big bugs in early access before, and they do reply, but they even posted a huge long list for us of stuff that they have fixed for the launch. So just remember, this that I'm playing is not final software, so it's entirely possible that you won't encounter anything that I did, and actually, you're probably gonna encounter different things that I haven't yet found. It's The Sims 4, this is a never-ending cycle, there is always going to be something. It's always very shocking to make a review on a pack. I've been playing this pack for like 3 weeks. I've got a lot of hours in Adventure Awaits now, and say I saw, you know, this, and this bug, then the pack comes out, and those bugs aren't there, but there's a bunch of new ones that I didn't see. So anyway, I can't promise you the pack's gonna be bug free. It probably will have bugs in it, but nothing game breaking happened to me. It was just little things like the dirty plates during Getaways. At one point, my imaginary friend completely glitched, and suddenly it was no longer my imaginary friend. I had to meet him again, and like his name was gone. I had to befriend him all over, but maybe that's for the best though. Like maybe he could have stayed gone. I guess the other thing is that maybe the career needs tuned a little bit, but the career is not bugged. I think I just don't personally agree with the way it was designed, and that's two different things. Overall, I really liked this pack. I think it feels way bigger than I expected. I know I said it before, but it kind of feels like the two halves, the nature stuff and the getaway stuff. And again, I'm gonna bring up businesses and hobbies because this one feels like that pack's sister. They're very similar, but not in a bad way. Like, the gameplay is not similar at all, the content is not similar at all, but the energy of it and the level of customization and replayability is similar. I still think I like businesses and hobbies better, but that's because I love running businesses. I like to try and make money in The Sims. I spend a lot of my time playing with a weenie sim who exclusively plays Rags to Riches, so of course I'm gonna like the business pack, but I loved Adventure Awaits. I also think I'm gonna love building with this one. Even if I don't play with the content, I'm gonna love building custom venues, and the benefit of this for using it to make community lots is that I'm pretty sure the schedule should be saved with it when you put it on the gallery. Obviously, Obviously, I can't test that because I can't use the gallery on this version, but they did say that to us, and I think that's how it's intended to function. So when I share a small business that I've built to the gallery, it doesn't have any of the business presets because the business presets are tied to the sim and not tied to the lot, but the custom venues have schedules tied to the custom venue. So in my mind, it's kind of similar to like a restaurant and dine out, and the menu stays with the restaurant when you put it on the gallery. I think the schedule should stay too. And I have so many ideas for custom venues I want to build. I have been lying awake at night thinking about things I want to make once the pack is fully out and I've got all of my other packs. I did really want this to be a hotel pack, and I don't think it is. I think it's a vacation pack. And it's got these fully customizable vacations that you can run, but they still aren't really hotels in the sense that I was picturing. When I say hotels, I'm thinking about hotels from The Sims 3 Island Paradise. And that is really bad because if you played that pack, it was terrible. Honestly, unplayable. Like, it didn't even run. I tried to stream it last year and I physically could not because Island Paradise does not work. But I still want hotels like the Island Paradise hotels. I want a resort. I want to check in and like be assigned my hotel room. And you can kind of do that here, but it's not the same thing. You can claim a room as yours, but I think if you do that, if you've got a second sim in your household, they can't get in the room. So if it's like you and your husband on a retreat, if you claim the bedroom, he's out. He's got to get his own. So it's more like a skill building retreat happening at a bed and breakfast than it is me spending time at a hotel. And yeah, a bed and breakfast is kind of like a hotel, but it's smaller. It's more quaint, it's more local, like a family owns it. So this does actually appease me for now. This is the closest we've ever gotten to hotels, and honestly, probably the closest we'll ever get to hotels. And mark my words, one of the first things I'm doing when I get the real game is I'm gonna make a resort in Sulani. But the last thing I wanted to touch on, and I feel kind of ridiculous saying this too, but I do think that this is maybe a pack for Sims players that are really in deep. I think it's so specific and so detailed that a person who's just starting out with The Sims might get a little bit overwhelmed by it, because even I felt that way a little bit when I was first looking at the schedule builder. And that's not a bad thing. There are a lot of people who will really love this. A lot of people are in that deep with The Sims, myself included. But I just don't know if I'd recommend buying this pack as my first pack for The Sims 4. And it is good that they have all of those preset schedules because that's a big help. I think I'm just picturing myself when I was like 11, because this pack feels very nostalgic to me. I think it's a combination of the imaginary friend and the childhood stuff, and even like that I can kind of make hotels. This really feels like a lot of the parts of The Sims 3 that I liked and enjoyed playing, except for imaginary friends, not them. But they were still there, even against my will. And I'm just picturing myself when I was a kid. I don't know if I would have used the getaway stuff really. I think I would have used the 3 default getaways, but I don't think I would have built any. But at the end of the day, this all comes down to personal preference. You know yourself and you know what you like and you know if this is gonna be good for you. All I can do is just talk about what it has and sort of how I feel, and then I leave it up to you to decide. I think when compared to the other expansion packs, this one is really solid. It's got a ton of stuff, it's usable, it's fun, and we can have a conversation in every review about how $40 is really expensive and like, is any Sims DLC worth that? But in the grand scheme of expansion packs, I do think this is a good one. But as always, packs are even better when you buy them on sale. So if you waited a few months, I would not blame you. If you are planning on buying this pack, you will get 3 bonus items if you buy it before November 13th. We didn't have access to these in my weird CFE early access version, so I haven't seen them for myself in game yet. But in my humble opinion, these are the least interesting early purchase content items we've ever seen, which I actually kind of prefer. It's an outdoor heater, socks, and a kettle. So they're cool, but it's not like you need them. So you're not gonna be missing out on that much if you don't get them. It's just a nice bonus if you do buy the pack in time. So if you're planning on waiting for a sale, do not let them get to you. It's just socks, okay? Be strong. I do not like the existence of early purchase content really at all. I don't like how it leaves people out if they can't buy the pack straight away, but I've said that dozens of times in every single pack video ever, so I won't bore you with it again. The main takeaway here is it's just socks. And if you are going to buy Adventure Awaits now or in the future, I just ask that you please use a creator code at checkout on the EA app. You do not have to use mine, but just please use somebody's. Most of your favorite Sims creators will have a code that's probably just their username, but you could always ask them. It's probably listed in their descriptions or like on their bio on social media. We earn a 5% commission when someone buys a Sims pack with our code. So like with this one, we'll get $2 for every person who buys this pack using our code. It is not a discount code for you, but EA does get less of your money and then it gets given to a creator instead. And it's basically a free way for you to support them because you were probably going to buy the pack anyway. I am internally cringing a little bit even bringing it up because I know it is very weird to be talking about earning commission on a review video, but hopefully you just know that I have everything to lose by lying to my community community. Like, it would be so dumb of me to sit here and be like, guys, buy this pack that's actually terrible and use my code when you do it, because then you would never trust me again. I would lose my whole audience doing that. So I have no reason to sit here and just pretend to like a pack to get $2 from you. I really relied on content like this video when I was a kid and playing The Sims 3 because I had very little money and very few opportunities to buy DLC. So it was a really special treat for me to get a Sims pack, and I wanted to be sure I was getting the right one. So I would read the same guide blog posts over and over and over. I knew everything about every Sims 3 pack before I even owned them because I was obsessively on Carl's Sims 3 guide. So my goal with videos like this is to be that tool for you. I just want you to know if this is worth buying for you because these packs are so expensive. $40 is a lot of money, so I want you to know what you're buying and what you're gonna get. Hopefully I did an all right job covering this one. How does she know that I'm almost done? This is wild. I've been recording all day. You haven't been on my desk for the entire video, and now I'm wrapping it up and she shows up. Before this, Enchanted by Nature was my longest review script ever, but now this one is 14,000 words. I have a yapping problem. I probably could have been more concise, but I wanted to show you everything, and I guess I had a lot to say. I didn't think that I had more to say, but apparently I did. But that is my big overview review completed. I'm also gonna be posting a ton of other content on Adventure Awaits here on my YouTube channel, so make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Tomorrow I'm posting a feature-length film of gameplay. It's like 2.5 hours long, and that's cut down, like edited down to be 2.5 hours. And I'm also gonna be live over on my Twitch channel every single day playing even more of the pack, including tonight, so I'll link my stream down below too. I'm able to answer more questions and like show things in a little bit more detail in the stream because it is so long. So like if you ask me a question, I can just show you instantly instead of trying to like respond in a comment somehow. My Twitch name is just lilsimsie. That is also linked. After I finish streaming, I always post my streams on my second channel called More Simsie afterward. So you can also watch the stream played back there if you can't make it to it live. But all right, I think that is the end of my big speech. I really do hope this video was helpful for you. I sincerely tried my best. I put my heart and soul into these. I know it sounds so cringe, but like this is for my childhood self. She would have loved this if I had a video like this back then. But I am finally gonna wrap this up right here. I think this one wants me to end the video. So thank you again for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'm gonna catch you all tomorrow, okay? Bye, everybody. Okay, I need to get some water. I have been talking so much. I started recording this at 8:30 this morning, and it's 1:30 in the afternoon. I haven't even stood up a single time. That's bad.